Drink till I'm drunk, smoke till I'm high. Castle on the hill, wake up in the sky. You can't tell me I ain't fly.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Okay, welcome to the recap. So I'll put in the beginning of this video the tray that I took, the recording of it, and you'll see what actually happened. Very interesting situation, but I'll go over my bias that I had today and then why I took the trade. So there's a lot of drawings on here, but I'll pull up this chart. So same idea, we had swept these lows, we had daily gap holding on ES, this S&T. My draw was pretty much just higher. If you go to the 4 hour, I wanted this high, right? We had previous day high. On ES, we also had these highs, right? Pretty much same idea as yesterday. I didn't really see a reason to go lower. NQ isn't as clean here. We don't have any 4 hour gaps. Really, the only thing we had is this 1 hour rejection block. And then we had rebalanced the 4 hour leg, right? So that was there. And then on ES, it looked a bit cleaner. We had this 4 hour gap holding. So we'll get rid of this and go back so you can see what I was thinking. So, whoops. All right. All right, so here's ES before open. So we had this 4 hour gap, right? We had 1800 open, trade lower into this 4 hour gap. Let me pull up ES. Right. So I went ahead and drew the 4 hour range out from this low to this high. And we make a new high right here with, so this is with previous day high. And I noticed that we hadn't rebalanced the 4 hour range, which we did do on NQ, right? So it was rebalanced here from this low to this high on NQ, but not on ES, which I wasn't too worried about because if you go to the 1 hour, right, we had rebalanced the 1 hour range with this leg. We were holding this 1 hour gap. So I didn't really think that we're going to need to rebalance the 4 hour leg, right? Ideally we would have. So I'll keep this on here and you'll see what ends up happening. So I just wanted to look for longs today. I didn't really have a reason to short necessarily, but I'll go to open. So also I waited for 10 a.m. because there's really nothing at open. So this should be 10 a.m. Alright, so what I noticed at 10 a.m. there's two scenarios. So we did have this SMT with previous day high, and we did have this external SMT with this high from Monday. So I was open to shorts here if 10 a.m. was going to open higher and then sweep out the previous hourly high because we did have two SMTs and we did have some stacked lows here. So what I pretty much my thought process was we could sweep out the previous hourly high at 10 a.m. and then get a short down into, we did have a small 15-minute gap here. I didn't really like these lows, so I marked out these lows, right? But there's really two ways to look at this because at the same time we had all these highs, right here that we didn't sweep out all the way. So my draw was still previous day high. I still expected higher. We also inversed this 1 hour gap, right? So if we're going to inverse this 1 hour gap, I don't see a reason we don't come for this high. Even though we have the SMTs, it just makes more sense for me to be bullish, especially just looking at the daily structure. So I marked that out. But what I actually saw is we had 10 a.m. open. So here it is on ES. So we actually had 10 a.m. open, and on ES it swept out the 9 a.m. high, right? And we still had this SMT. I did draw this 4-hour rejection block that's like from way long ago. This little one here, I figured maybe we react off of this. I don't know. I put that there, but it's not really important. More so, what kind of sponsored the move is just the SMT and then sweeping out the 9 a.m. high. Right, so we're still holding these two SMTs. And then I went to the 3-minute to see if we can get a nice 3-minute rejection block, right? So we have SMT. We basically have 3 SMTs, which is crazy. So this to me made sense. We're up here, so it made sense to maybe just catch a small short down to, we did have this 3-minute gap, right? It made sense to look for something, maybe just a 1 to 3, right? Because I'm not super bearish. I didn't expect a big move, even though we do have this. And we do have this 1-hour rejection block right here, which we actually edged the CE of. So we're creating engineered liquidity for this. Now I kind of ignored this because we did have this 1-hour rejection block off of it holding, right? We're all the way up here, so did I really think we're gonna come all the way down here? Not really, but I still had this marked. Right, so went to the 3-minute, and then here it is on ES. And we pretty much just chopped around for a bit. So I saw we were holding this little 3-minute. I wanted to take something up here if we form like another 5-minute or 3-minute, but we didn't really get anything for a while. I saw like this little 3-minute. This just looks so choppy. Like what I wanted to do is get an entry and then go break even at 10 a.m. So also looks a bit better on ES because we have this 5-minute right here after sweeping out the 9 a.m. high. So I did see this. At this point, I figured this is just going to get swept. But no, we actually still hold the SMT. And then we create this 3-minute rejection block. So this looked good to me because we still had the SMT here. I was looking at ES as well, which looked a lot better. I saw that this 5-minute was holding, and we were about to close below 10 a.m. on the 5-minute. Right, also, we have all these lows. So this short made sense to me. We're pretty premium in this 15-minute leg. So that's just what I saw. It made sense to short up here and target EQ or OTE of the 15-minute leg. So I went ahead and limited this 3-minute rejection block. But what I wanted to see is for the next candle to open up a trade higher into it and then go break even at 10 a.m. But what happens is we don't get the entry and we hit 10 a.m. So I just removed my limit from that because yeah, I didn't necessarily want to see this get hit first because this is going to be my break even point. So I got rid of the limit there. I didn't really like this anymore, but you can see it actually does play out. And I considered still entering, but I really didn't like this 3-minute rejection block that's pretty much off of 10 a.m. This still was a pretty good trade. It still makes sense. Um, yeah, at this point, I wasn't super sure. Like, we did have SMT, but these were also equal highs. So I wasn't super confident in shorting this. But I do think this makes sense, mainly because of right, we have like 3 SMTs, so makes sense. I saw we had this 5 minute that we're still holding off of this new day opening gap, right? It's also pretty much off of 1800. So yeah, this is a short I pretty much faded that played out. But I still wanted to more so look for longs. At first I wasn't super sure until I saw this. So on the 1 minute, we had all this accumulation, right? We leave these equal highs, and we still have the 9 a.m. high, and I had this 5 minute rejection block marked. So what I wanted to see is just for us to get a good manipulation lower, sweep out these lows, and then hold. We had this 5 minute gap, this 5 minute rejection block, which in hindsight isn't really the best rejection block, right? Because it pretty much just makes these lows. It is off of this little 5 minutes, so it's okay. And we had this little small 15-minute gap. And this 15-minute gap also gave me a bit more confidence. It is tiny though. Um, yeah, this little gap here. Right, so what I did is waited for, I think, OTE of this leg. Pretty sure I put this on the 5 minute leg, yeah, which is the same as the 15-minute leg. So mark this, boom, and then I wanted a 3 minute off of this. Now we did get this 1 minute here, which I think was good. It taps OTE perfectly, taps the beginning of this 5 minute rejection block. So I saw this and I was a little bit hesitant of this just because if you do look at ES, right, if you're trading the hourly expansion, this looked like the manipulation for the 1 hour candle. And I didn't expect like this 15-minute candle to just flip. I expected this 15-minute candle to be bearish, the third one to be bearish as well, and then we can get the move back up, if that makes sense. So I think I kind of ignored this. Like, this does not look very good for longs, to be honest. If you're pretty zoomed in here, like this looks really good for a long. We had equal highs as a draw. But if you do zoom out, like if you look at the 15-minute, maybe it's not ideal. Like we do have these SMTs. Maybe it's not the most, perfect situation, right? We were just in this range. So we had, these were the SMTs, but we had all these highs here and we still had all this liquidity here. So it would have been, I think, a lot better to just wait for all this to get swept. But because I was so bullish, I didn't think we were going to actually come down and sweep out these lows. So I kind of ignored that. But what happened is we got a 3 minute rejection block right here, and I ended up taking the CE of this. So I do think this trade was good, right? It makes sense. I saw this, and this looked pretty obvious to me, so I didn't want to fade this. Even though maybe it's not the most perfect A plus setup ever, I just expected us to go to these equal highs, right? Accumulation, manipulation, boom, we can come up to these highs. So that's what I ended up taking, and you'll see what happens. So we get a nice reaction off of, we also tap into this 1 minute, we get this nice move. I went break even here at 10 a.m. And then what actually happens is we're really close, right? Oh, on the 1 minute, we're up here, and I was like, all right, these highs are gonna get swept. Boom, no problem. I'm break even. This looks good. Nice, about a 1 to 4. And all of a sudden, this candle just stops moving, right? Out of nowhere. Like it just stops moving. I thought it was like glitching or something. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then boom, Trump says something. Boom. And we just sweep out all of this. So thank God I was actually break even right around here and my stop got filled. So I only got slipped a little bit and I was only in like 1 micro. So yeah, and you'll see I'll put it in the beginning of the video, but yeah, that was crazy. Very unfortunate. I really thought these highs would get taken, but yeah, nothing you can really do about that. But thank God, an angel came down to save me and I didn't get absolutely completely slipped with this fat candle. Yeah, this was crazy. But what's even crazier is we actually come down to this 1 hour rejection block, which is insane. And then we get the move back up. So sweep the 9 a.m. low and then come back up. Let me see what we did. Yeah, that's crazy. What else is crazy is that we actually do go ahead and rebalance the 4 hour leg. So yeah, which is what I would have wanted to see. So yeah, this, like, even if you ignore the news and everything, this does make sense, right? We did have this engineered liquidity for the CE of this. If you trade the hourly expansion of 10 a.m., right, it makes more sense that this up here was the manipulation and that we can move lower, right? Because we had this 15-minute candle, SMT, and we are trying to enter on this candle, right? Well, it would make a lot more sense to enter on either this, so the third 15-minute candle, or the fourth 15-minute candle, if that makes sense. Especially if you look at ES, it's a bit more clear. We have this first 15-minute candle of the hourly candle as manipulation. We tap into this 15-minute rejection block. We get this leg, right? And then the third candle actually reaches our draw, which I guess is this in this situation. And then our fourth candle is the one that retraces. So yeah, this is absolutely insane. Actually crazy that we're holding this now. Yeah, very interesting day. Do I think this was a bad trade? No. It makes a lot of sense. Like, this 3 minute looks really clean. In hindsight, it does make sense, I guess, that we sweep these lows. But yeah, absolutely crazy. Anyways, I still think we go higher from here, despite the news. Yeah, I still think we're gonna come for these equal highs now. So this was extremely, extremely unfortunate. Nothing you can do about that. This is insane that we're holding this off of the news event. Um, yeah. So thankfully I had my stop at break even. If I had left it or something, like, I probably would have lost a lot more. So yeah, pretty much break even day. Hopefully Trump can stop doing this because it makes trading really annoying when that happens. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.